Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamta Adi-Lila, chapter 7, text 169. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Advaita Atina Janaha Shivas Gadadhar Adi Yata Bhakta Gana. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. While chanting the Panchatattva Mahamantra, one must chant the names of Shri Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita Gadadhar, and Shivas with their many devotees. This is the process. Panchatattva is Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas, and Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda. That's why we say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas, Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. This is the Panchatattva mantra. Sabakar Pada Padme Koti Namaskar Yaiche Taiche Kahi Kichu Chaitanya Vihan. I again and again offer obeisances unto the Panchatattva. Thus I think that I will be able to describe something about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Caitanya Caritamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rup and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I Krishna Das narrate Shri Caitanya Caritamrita, following in their footsteps. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to preach the Sankirtana movement of love of Krishna throughout the entire world, and therefore during his presence, he inspired the Sankirtana movement. So this Sankirtana movement has been inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya himself. Srila Prabhupada would say that the original inaugurator of the Sankirtana movement is Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya engaged everyone in hearing and chanting and dancing about Krishna. Why? Because he came to give love of Krishna to us. Lord Chaitanya, out of his compassion on the Kali Yuga people, he came to give us this highest gift, love of Krishna. It's very difficult to understand Krishna. It's very difficult to approach Krishna. But Lord Chaitanya has made it easy for us. It is his mercy that he's made this chanting available for us, that this hearing available for us. By hearing and chanting, we can easily revive our love of Krishna. Specifically, he sent Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami to Vrindavan and Nityanand to Bengal, and personally went to South India. In this way, he kindly left the task of preaching his cult in the rest of the world to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya, he spread the Sankirtana movement within India. Within India, he and his associates spread the Sankirtana movement. But it was his desire that the holy name of the Lord, and his prediction that it will be sung in every town and village of the world. And Srila Prabhupada is humbly saying that Lord Chaitanya left this task for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The members of this society must always remember that if they stick to the regulative principles and preach sincerely according to the instructions of the Acharyas, surely they will have the profound blessings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the preaching work will be successful everywhere throughout the world. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila, 7th chapter, describing Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. So we can sincerely give Krishna consciousness to everyone on the order of Lord Chaitanya, so that Lord Chaitanya's mercy, so that everyone can receive Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Then Prabhupada is saying, and if we follow the regulative principles, that we will get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. We will get the blessings of Lord Chaitanya, because it's Lord Chaitanya's desire that everyone can develop love of God. He's not saying, oh, only these people or this people should get love of God. No, everyone. So we simply have to follow the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, the instructions, his instructions rather than footsteps. He's the Supreme Lord. So we follow his instructions. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. We hear and chant and we follow the regulative principles, and we encourage others to hear and chant and follow the regulative principles. So, were there any comments or questions?
No, it is just that sometimes a lot of people are confused at how to remember the Panchatattva, like the order or how they are. Or so I think Amrendra Prabhu gave a very, in a lecture, he mentioned very easily that you have to remember that the right of Krishna, at the right side of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the Vishnu Tattvas, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita, Advaita. And then on the left side is the spiritual potency Radharani Tattva, this side. So we can remember that way, because the left side is, so it's easy to remember. Sometimes people are really confused. They don't know that, oh, what is actually Panchatattva? We don't understand. Or so like that way we can remember that the right side is always, the two are at the right side. So they are the Vishnu Tattvas, and the two at the left side, they are the Radharani, the spiritual potency Tattva, right? If I'm wrong.
So Gadadhar, yes. So Gadadhar is the spiritual potency, and Srivas, he's the Jiva.
Jiva Tattva, yeah.
Jiva potency. Yeah, so both are energies, of course.
Energies, yeah, both the energies. Yeah.
And then, yeah, and glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya also. Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta. Yes, very good. Thank you.
So he mentioned that.
Okay, good. Thank you. So moving on to chapter 8, the author receives the orders of Krishna and Guru. The 8th chapter of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita is summarized by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is one of the acharyas in our line. He is the spiritual master of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He's the father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the spiritual master of our Srila Prabhupada. And so the father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he was the spiritual master of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So if we see the photo of the Guru Parampara, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is there in that Guru Parampara. In this chapter, the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda are described, and it is also stated that one who commits offenses in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra does not achieve love of Godhead, even after chanting for many years. So we should try to chant offenselessly. Now we may say, oh, but I'm not able to chant offenselessly. At least we should endeavor to chant offenselessly. At least have a desire to chant offenselessly, so that we can actually get this love of Krishna. In this connection, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur warns against artificial displays of the bodily symptoms called Ashta Sattvika Vikar. That is also an offense. So what happens is, one who's experiencing emotions for Krishna then they will have certain bodily transformations. They might cry, they might have some, there are 8 types of bodily transformations, that the limbs get withdrawn or the joints become so big. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying we should not artificially do these things just to get some fame or some worship from others, because others will say, oh, wow, this person has already gotten bhava for Krishna. So great. So let me try to imitate this kind of bodily symptoms, crying when the kirtan is going on or rolling on the ground. So we should not do this. He's warning us against artificial displays of bodily symptoms. That is also an offense. Srila Prabhupada in fact said, if anyone feels any kind of bodily symptom, leave the kirtan and go out. If somebody is feeling too emotional while chanting in the kirtan, public display should not be done. Then one should leave the temple and go out to a alone place, calm oneself down, and then come back. The idea is not to, because we are seeking a lot of worship. We want to get what is that? People to say, oh, we are so great. Pratishtha. We are seeking that. So we should not use chanting the holy name and try to get this. One should seriously and sincerely continue to chant the Panchatattva name, Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All these acharyas will bestow their costless mercy upon a devotee and gradually purify his heart. When he's actually purified, automatically he will experience ecstasy in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So we say we don't need to imitate anything. No, if we are supposed to feel the ecstasy, it will come. Our duty is simply to continue chanting. Our goal should not be, oh, I want to feel this ecstasy. No, that's not the goal, to feel the ecstasy. The goal is love of Krishna. So in that love of Krishna, there is no desire for personal adoration or personal feeling of some kind of ecstasy, because it's based in pure love. So we don't need to imitate. We simply, as Prabhupada is saying, seriously and sincerely continue to chant the Panchatattva names, Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And by doing this, we are attracting the mercy of these great acharyas. We are purifying our heart. When he's actually purified, automatically he will experience ecstasy in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So our goal should not be to experience ecstasy. It should be to purify ourselves by chanting. Well, actually, the goal also should not be for purification. The goal is, I want to love Krishna. I want to love him. In that mode, we should engage in our hearing and chanting, that I want to be able to love Krishna. Then automatically we will get the purification. Automatically, we may or may not feel the ecstasy. That is secondary. Previous to the composition of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote a book called Sri Caitanya Bhagavatam. Only those subjects which were not discussed by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in his Caitanya Bhagavatam have been taken up by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami to be depicted in Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is known to be Srila Vyasadev. Srila Vyasadev recorded Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kali Yuga, the same Vyasadev has come as Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he compiled the Caitanya Bhagavat. The Caitanya Bhagavat. Caitanya Bhagavat also depicts his recorded of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It deals more with the earlier pastimes, and so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's the author of Caitanya Caritamrita, the book that we are currently reading. Prabhupada chose to translate Sri Caitanya Caritamrita because the entire lifespan pastimes are there in this Caitanya Caritamrita. So Srila Prabhupada chose to translate this for us in English. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that just so that the book does not become too voluminous, he's discussing those pastimes which were not discussed either not discussed in too much detail or were not discussed at all by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So some pastimes he's just referred in passing that, oh, these things happen, but the details are there in Caitanya Bhagavat. And some he does not discuss. In his very old age, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami went to Vrindavan, and by the order of Sri Madan Mohanji, he wrote Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. Thus, we are now able to relish its transcendental bliss. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he was 90 years old when he took up this task of writing Caitanya Caritamrita. Lord Nityananda ordered him to write, and Madan Mohanji. Madan Mohan is the deity of Sanatan Goswami, the Sambandha Gyan. And Prabhupada is saying, thus, now we are able to relish its transcendental bliss. So we'll continue reading tomorrow. Is that okay? Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Hare Krishna.